Welcome to Breaking the Cycle, where we get deep into the patterns that keep us stuck and discover the tools to break free. Whether it's binge eating, emotional eating, struggles, self doubt, we're here to explore the root causes, challenge the status quo, and pave the way for lasting transformation. I'm Natasha D'Souza, your host, coach, and guide, and I'm here to help you take back control and create a life that truly reflects your worth. Today, I have with me a very special guest who's not just a client, but has also become a very close friend, someone I also confide in with some of my deepest, darkest troubles and problems, and we'll get into more of that as well. And today, I have with me Dana. I'm going to say your full name, Dana Alsheikh. Am I saying it right? Yeah, lovely. So Dana's going to be taking us today through her journey, what she's been through, what's it like navigating emotional eating with kids. And so Dana, the show is yours now. I want to get to just know, first of all, where it kind of all started with the food, get to know a little bit more about you as well. So tell me, I want to go back prior to when you contacted me, but prior to, let's say when you were growing up, there's so many instances you and I have talked about when we've talked about food and how you looked at food. I know, having spoken to your mom as well, I know food's really, your mom's such a great cook, by the way. So tell me a little bit about that relationship while you were growing up.
So hello. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
I'm half Armani, half Mexican. So for me, food, as you know, has always been like, especially being at the table and eating, and it's a place for connection, uh, love. It's also a way we show love is through food, is through feeding. That's from both sides. It's funny. We have a saying in Spanish, you're sad, have your cake. Let me make you a cake. You're this, have this cake. Have this sweet. It's always like it's a form of nurturing of showing you I love you. So this is a bit of the framework that
Right.
I kind of grew up in. Um, so since I was a kid, I think like still about 9, maybe let's say around 9. I can't really get, I started gaining lots of weight. And I think it started when my mom went to the US for treatment, and then I was home in Oman, like alone with my brothers and stuff. So I used to go to Baskin Robbins daily with my nanny and have ice cream. And it was really interesting. Ice cream for me gave me this, I think I felt lonely, and it gave me this, it started making me feel good. I don't know how to explain it. And I'll never forget, again, I don't remember the age. We were in the States for summer because we used to go to see my family and stuff. And we would be in the pool after we'd be swimming. We'd have ice cream, me and my cousins and everyone. And I'll never forget, I would have the ice cream and my mind would always be, oh, when can I have the next one? When can I have the next one? Like I couldn't be, and I used to watch everyone around me enjoying it and not thinking of the next one. And I remember at that age thinking, why am I like this? Why am I can't be in this moment enjoying this right now, always anticipating, shit, this is gonna leave me. Can I get a next one? I knew I'm like, this is really interesting.
Yeah.
And then fast forward in university, I'll never forget, because you start noticing yourself in relation to others,
Yep.
right? And it's funny, I feel emotional eaters or whatever attract each other. So my group in Boston, I'm not gonna say their names because they're gonna delete me. I used to say, "Oh, fat club," but because what we would do is we would order like buckets of ice cream and just sit together, talk and eat. And so again, it's that whole concept of connection over food, and I remember one of my besties, he never had any weird relationship with food. Like it was just food was food. And like I'd go to his apartment and I remember he'd have tons of fucking cookies and ice cream and he just would eat it and not eat it. It wasn't a thing. And I used to be like, how are you living? Like if I had then a shit ton of cookies in my cabinet, they would be gone. Like it would. Whereas for him, he would, and I remember watching him eat his ice cream. Like he would sit and eat and just eat, and
I hate those.
yeah, and I was just like, oh my god, like I would, it's this, I mean, I was a bit jealous. Yeah, and I was like, he was like really present, like enjoying the conversation, but really enjoying, like there was a calmness that I didn't have, or some attachment that I had that he didn't. So I always noticed as I got older that there was something food was giving me, um, because of the way my mind would go. Um, but see, at that age when I was younger, I understand, okay, I gained weight and I look different from everyone else, but I didn't really know diet or no diet. And I also felt like I couldn't control it,
Yeah.
you know? But then as I got older and with period, I don't know, naturally my body didn't, I lost the weight. I don't know. I didn't really do a diet, but then I always kind of yo-yoed and I noticed the weight would start to pile up when I would study. So for example, I think I didn't like I enjoyed school from the social aspect and friends and stuff, but I didn't enjoy school from the academic aspect. It was a lot of useless for me studying, like things that I was not interested in. I just forced myself to study. And in the forcing, what did I bring? I brought food. And it was funny. We were talking earlier about craving. I don't even know if I was craving it, but I was just, it was almost like, okay, this shit that you're doing now in school is hard. I understand it's hard. So to give you a prize, when you take a break, eat chocolate.
Yeah.
Eat this. So it was a way to kind of motivate me and also keep me alert and energized
Yeah.
because I actually really hated what I was studying. And obviously, what would happen? I'd gain weight. And it's the same I noticed happened in college. It was this underlying stress around education and learning that I couldn't, I don't know, I wasn't maybe aware or how to address that. I use food to kind of um like give me love or give
Mhm.
me like some sort of um affection that
Yeah.
okay, I know you're doing this hard thing. So here, this is this prize.
Yeah.
I didn't know any better. And I also later in life I noticed for me a big thing with food was I'm quite a social person. I love people. But sometimes I don't know the boundary. I didn't know then, at least. And I think we, in the work we did together, this helped me really address it more and more. Sometimes I don't need to be the entertainer. Sometimes I don't, I can, I wasn't aware sometimes of my own body telling me I'm tired now, D. Like, just, it's okay. Like, we don't need to do this. We don't need to go there. We can be quiet and enjoy the company.
Yeah.
We don't need to blah, blah, blah. And I notice in order sometimes to keep up with that, I use food as energy
Yeah.
or as a way to kind of soothe me. It was that self soothing again. And with our work, it really helped me to kind of get aware of like, oh, actually, I'm actually tired. Not actually, I don't need that extra piece of food or whatever. I'm actually just tired. What I actually need is rest. I need silence. I need me time. And I'm 40 now, and I've only realized that what, 2, 3 years ago. Um, when we were working together, I remember you put me on like, calorie restriction, whatever. And um I really wanted to work with it, right? So I started really getting aware of myself in the table when I was eating fast. And I remember I went with my family for lunch and I was like rushing to eat. And I'm like, whoa, 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 why are we rushing? Just let's stop. And I just was tuning into myself. I'm like, okay, what am I feeling right now? Okay, I'm hungry. The food is here. It's not going anywhere. It's okay. But I felt this pressure then to talk and to make effort. And I'm like, actually, I don't need to make effort. I don't need to do anything. I can just be.
Yeah.
And it's almost like when I allowed myself to be, I sat with that discomfort part of, oh, I don't need to make effort. I don't need to, I'm like, no, I don't. And it's what actually came up then. I became exhausted. It's weird. Like I became sleepy. So I came home and I went and I napped. So what actually was the case was I was not necessarily hungry. I was actually tired. So I think from childhood, backtracking to child, I think I learned to cope with food to soothe my fatigue, to soothe my loneliness, boredom. Like there's so many things that food came to soothe. And through our work together, it's just been uncovering layer after layer of different things and finding connection to my body. Actually, really like, okay, hey, what do you feel right now? How can I take care of you right now? And there's so many layers to it.
Absolutely.
You know?
I mean, when we first met, there was the emotional eating aspect, and then there was the weight loss
Yeah.
aspect, right? And I always tell people we need to identify the emotional eating aspects first, and then weight loss is going to be the byproduct. And something that you said, I had asked you,
Yeah.
and I said, "How are you? How are you when you're in a public setting, in a restaurant?" And you said, "Natasha, I'm just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like I'm not even present. I'm just going all over the place, right?" And I still remember your mother-in-law's chocolate truffles, and you're like, if I had them, it was truffles,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
It's these salted caramels, chewies she makes. They're so good.
Exactly. You're like, I can just lose control around them. And so, you know, when you look at that control that was lost, and we start going back into childhood, were there moments as well while you were eating where there was loss of control? I like to call it airplane mode, where we're just going and the bag is done and the box is done, and then I want more, almost like a numbing out feeling. Were there moments
Mm.
growing up as well that you've seen episodes of that?
Yeah. And there's something around doing it with a friend who does it with you. So I have
Mm,
my bestie who we laugh about it now. And I can't remember what it was, but we would go to Burger King and just like order crazy amounts of food and just eat it together. And I don't know, I get it would fill something. It's that connection. And I don't know, it just felt so good. And also forward into university, I remember, there were these, I went into Weight Watchers, right? And there's that point system, whatever. And you get some really good snacks in like low points. And me and my other bestie, we did the same. So we'd buy these ice cream sandwiches that were like fat free, whatever. And there's like strawberry shortcake. Yo, you would love those ones. And they're different flavors. You eat one, okay? And it's 2 points or 3 points or okay, eat two. I could, I kid you not, eat the whole thing. It almost gave me like, oh, the day was tiring. School, whatever, people was tiring. This was my way to treat myself. And I could go through the whole thing if I allowed myself. And I'd be like, whoa,
yeah.
you know? And it's like I wouldn't feel full. Like it's weird.
Yeah. Having been on Weight Watchers myself, I can relate. I can relate. And I would go through those snacks and I'll be like, oh my God, I just spent 40 points on snacks. What do I'll just eat vegetables then, and then we go to restriction. I'm so happy you bought Weight Watchers because that was going to be my next question to you. Along the way, um, struggling with weight and having to lose weight and things, what are the different diets that you've tried up until, let's say, we met? Because
Yeah.
I know there were few, because the restriction mindset was coming out when we were working together. What are the various ones that you've tried? Maybe some worked, maybe some didn't.
Yeah. So when I started more with the diet necessary or restriction more when I was in university, and I gained tons of weight after my first year of university. And I think again it was that adjustment and I felt a bit lonely. And so what would I do to fill that loneliness? I remember it would be iced tea and pretzels. I would just eat that all night, like ongoing, like while I was studying. It would kind of help me cope with the feelings.
Yeah, yeah.
And I even tried going to therapy and talking about it. And I thought maybe they can help me. But it's really weird. A lot of therapists don't know how to deal with that. And I guess we'll talk about that later. And so that didn't work. And then, I tried all these diets from Weight Watchers in university. And then my friend would come with this juice shit, like you would drink. And then one thing called a chemical diet. I don't remember. You eat like apples all day one day. And then I don't know what all day. Like it was very, and yeah, I did lose weight like in a week. But then what happens after? You become like an animal. Like you just want to eat everything. And I remember when we'd be on these diets, I remember we'd lie down, be looking at ourselves, we'd tell each other, "Oh, when we're off of this diet, we are gonna eat this, this, this." And I used to even say, "Oh, I wanna be thin." I remember I wanna be thin and lose all the weight and be I don't know what kilos so that I can enjoy everything again. And also this theory of when I lose all the weight, all my problems will go. It's such a funny theory. And it's funny when I think of when I lost all the weight from different things, I was the most insecure I've ever been because it didn't really deal with what was the underlying thing, right? So, and then I remember my last year of university, I was like, okay, maybe something biologically is wrong with me. Maybe I need to address that, because then also my period started becoming irregular. So then I'm like, maybe it's all connected. So I'll never forget, I was in the bookstore and I set this intention and I bought this book, Ultra Metabolism by Mark Hyman. So I was like, oh my God, this is me. These cravings, this. He talks about, I'm like, and fatigue. I'm like, this is me. So then I'm like, okay, where is this dude? He's wasn't far from me. So I booked an appointment. I told my mom, look, I'm going. And I went. And then that's when he diagnosed me with insulin resistance, PCOS, blah, blah, blah. Put me on a diet, um, gave me shit tons of supplements, whatever. But I remember I said, okay, I'm going to go do this diet, but I'm going to, like, if a friend's having dessert, I'm just going to try it just so that I feel that I've tried and I'm
Yeah.
not depriving myself. And I must say, I don't know what, but it worked for 4 months. I lost tons of weight. And then I moved to, I graduated and I moved to Switzerland. And I remember when I was in Switzerland, that's when the extremes again happened, in the sense that I would go through no dairy, no gluten, no yeast, only proteins, vegetables, like paleo, right? And then I would have like 1 day or 2 days where then I would binge like on chocolate, on this, on that, on whatever, and then go back. So that's when that thing started.
Yeah.
But it was manageable. My weight stayed, so I was okay with I was happy. And until it didn't, obviously. And then I don't know, years later I gained the weight. And so I would always be going back and forth, going that functional medicine route and then coming back. And then, so it was that yo-yo. And Um, yeah, I think it was that yo-yo up until I met you. And that was, say, let's say my 20s, and now I'm 40. So maybe when I was, I don't know, 38, whatever. Um, it really hit me. I'm like, you know what? I don't think this works for me. And I remember after Christmas, and New Year, I'm like, I really want to do something with my health, like in terms of my body. I want to lose weight, but I don't want to do it this way anymore. And I said, okay, let me try going to a nutritionist and see. And what happened, the nutritionist came and put me on calories and said, eat this, this, this. I lasted 2 days because I'm like, I don't want, I felt very restricted.
Mm.
And I was following you on and off for a while. And then I'm like, okay, but what does that mean? I don't know. Then I don't know what you posted right after New Year that really spoke to me. And again, it was about emotional eating. And I felt like, oh, I'm not alone. I can, I can, she gets me.
Yeah.
So then I booked the discovery call and
Yeah. We took it from there.
yeah,
There's something that you said right now, which is so important. I'm sure people listening are can resonate with. It's that whole notion that once I lose the weight,
yeah,
that's it. I remember when I was struggling with weight growing up, I would say, when I lose the weight, I'm gonna make a house made of ice cream. And then whenever I wanted ice cream, I could just grab it like this and put it in my mouth. Like that's how obsessed I was with food, on ice cream. So and I know you can relate to that. And so I want to get into a little bit after we started working together. I'm gonna go into the dynamics. But when you did lose the weight, when you and I worked together, you've got some great success there. What was the reality of losing the weight and that whole notion in relation to that notion of now I can go back to eating whatever I was?
yeah. That's really interesting. So, when I think of, I mean, I don't know now, maybe I lost 11 kilos over, I don't know, a year and a half. And it's, the person that was 10 kilos or 11 kilos heavier, I'm such a different person. And I know that sounds so like, cringe, it's like the person, who's going to get that house in Mallorca is not going to be the same person that's here, like
Mm,
what Joe Dispenza. And I agree with him even when I'm looking at it with relation to body,
yeah.
the like, for example, I had Christmas and New Year where I ate lots and enjoyed and whatever. But there's a limit though, because I'm so in touch with my body and my body's needs that I, I just won't go there
Mm,
because I'm so different. I'm not disassociated, you know? So you know what I mean? Like it's not like, oh, lost 5 kilos, gained 5 kilos, because the person I've become, I let go and shed so much.
yeah.
And there's so much awareness and that I can't even imagine that happening. It's a really interesting experience.
Yeah.
Um, and it's funny because now I want to lose more weight or release more weight, and the things that are showing up for me now, it's like, wow, interesting. It's like, yes, you want to release more weight. Okay, here are the things you need to work with. Here are the things that are showing up that you need to step into. And that's what I believe in with anything in life. Like you want that house. I know I give the example of Mallorca. You want that house in Mallorca as a manifestation. I don't even know why I use Mallorca, but whatever. Um, it's there for you. But it's about, are you ready to face the things that you need to face and step into in order to get that? Because it's the personality that is sitting here that doesn't have the house versus the personality that's has the house are two different people. Are you ready to shed certain parts of you and step into different parts of you in order to be that?
Yeah.
And it's the same to me with releasing weight, you know?
Yeah.
Am I ready to sit with parts of myself that was hiding from?
Yeah.
So for me, when I look at the 10 kilos, it was a lot of it was it's funny, and I do a lot of therapy, as you know, and healing, and I'm a coach, so I do healing of my own, and I help people on those journeys too. It's been such a great journey for me and actually helped me step into more of what I want to do and what I'm doing right now, you know? So, for example, it's really got me in touch with myself and my body and my needs and aware of how much I neglected myself and how much I disassociated from myself. So, it's the funny, the weight was a side effect.
Hmm.
Like it we focus so much, oh, I need to lose 5 kilos or I need to do it doesn't matter. It's great. And of course that is the goal, but it's what did I gain as a person and what did I shed as a person? So, um, like, yes, I lost 11 kilos, but what did I gain? I gained this sense of self confidence and trust in myself, um, advocating for myself. I'm so in contact with my body and what my body needs. And I put that as a priority. You know, it's like I can't hide from myself anymore. Like, my body's telling me, I'm done today. I want to go home. Okay, I have two choices. Either I abandon myself or either I honor myself. So I choose to honor myself. And when I choose to honor myself, so much opens up for me even more. And
Yeah.
the more and more I recall that, and I'm like, wow, why would I do that? Why would I sabotage myself?
Yeah.
For what? Um,
Absolutely. I mean, for me, just observing you and
yeah.
speaking to you, something that was really significant was the way your identity had changed. Your identity and how you resonated with being fat, let's say.
Mm.
Before it was, um, what do you mean, Natasha? Like that's the only option. Now when I speak to you, even after you've come back from vacation, you're like, I know what I have to do. I need to up my protein. It's going to help my hunger, right? I'm going to go back to my gym. And mind you, this is coming from a person back then. It's like, now you're going to tell me to go to the gym. Now you're going to tell me. I was like,
Yeah.
no, no, I don't. I'm not telling you anything of that sort, and because we're working with you, me, you, and your lower brain,
Yeah.
right? And when we're doing this person meeting,
Yeah.
there was so much resistance. And so when I observe and I see you, for me, that's the shift. It's the identity of this is how I show up as me. Yes, I want more. I want to
Yeah.
lose more weight. I want to get to this. But the language in how you speak now is no longer the language in what we spoke a year and a half ago. It's a completely different language. I mean, I have a message from you that replays in my head. One of the first voice notes you ever sent me. I think you were at Ripe Market or something of that sort. And you're like, Natasha, I don't know. There's a froyo, a frozen
It
yogurt.
was that they have this roll, bread roll. It's sourdough, so it's healthier, with like tons of Nutella. I love Nutella. And oh, it was good.
Yeah.
It was so good.
I remember you saying, and you're like, I don't know, I'm just gonna have it, and I was like, it's okay, you can have it. And so that language right there is like that. I don't know if I should have it. It was very restriction mindset. So when we started working together, one of the primary goals I give people is. Teaching them portion control, right? It's not about the quality of food as yet because they've got enough of that from the nutritionists, from the diets, and things of that sort, but it was teaching portion control and it was teaching to learn to up your protein and things of that sort. So when you were navigating those waters in the beginning, which was so different from every other approach, what worked and what didn't work?
You know, I remember, I don't know why, when we started, I was at Dubai Mall with my kids, and there's this place I really like. It's an ice cream place, and they don't have this flavor all the time. And I was like, I really want it. And I remember messaging you, and I'm like, Natasha, I really want it, and I'm frustrated, and I want it. And you were like, okay. And I thought you would say, okay, have it, but you didn't. You said sometimes in many words, we have to think about what is it that we want as a goal, and what is this going to give me now as in momentary.
Mm.
And then I was like, and I listened to you. And that was a really big thing that's helped me a lot later on in life. And it's this thing of waiting. Just wait and trust. And again, it's again about building trust in your body, because as an emotional eater and a yo-yo dieter, you don't trust your body. And I feel sometimes, anyways, we'll get into that later. Sometimes in the functional medicine world, it's also sometimes, okay, this is bad, that's bad, that's bad. So you start actually losing trust in your body. And I feel a lot of the work we've done and I've had to do on my own as well is building trust within my body. That the wisdom is here. I need to make friends with my body. And it's like what you said before, it's building a bridge,
Yeah.
and between the two worlds, and then connecting to my inner world. And, this whole thing of it doesn't have to feel good to be good. This instant gratification, I think that was a big thing for me, instant gratification, because the world is too much. So I need a quick fix. I need a quick fix. And it's about, okay, first, how do we address the world being too much? We need to work on that. My perceptions. We then need to also I had to work a lot on what helps me fill my cup that is outside of food. So sometimes, for example, we started with walking. Walking, I love walking. So it's about, okay, how do I do more of that in order to get myself and my nervous system calmer so that I can make better choices, so that I can, you know, um, um, come from that place where I feel like how when you have protein, when you're eaten, you can make better choices. But when you're starving, you can't make choices
Yeah.
for shit. So it's about how do I take care of myself? And I had to find what are the things that make me feel good, like take care of myself. I had to discover that. Um, so
And you're still
I
discovering.
still
And you're
never
still discovering. Yeah. And we just had a call recently, and now we're looking at other areas as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, like boredom, which we
Yeah.
were talking about, like that for me is a big thing. And you know, with for example, I love my kids, but honestly, it's a lot sometimes. It's really a lot. And and sometimes I feel guilty saying this, but I love my kids. I love playing with them sometimes, but sometimes it's just fucking boring. Sometimes I just want to do my own kind of play, which is listen to my own courses and do my kind of thing. I don't want to play like talking softies or play house. Sometimes I don't want to fucking do that. I want to just do my own thing. And then I go into that narrative, oh, I'm guilty, I feel bad, why, blah, 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 And then when I go into that like overthinking of, I want to do this, but I don't have time for this, but then I have to sit here and I don't want to sit here. Oh my God, what kind of mother are you? And then I go through that narrative and I find that when I get into that scattery mind, I want food to numb I don't want to sit with those feelings of guilt. I don't want to sit with those feelings of selfishness that I've labeled as I don't want to sit with them. So I want to eat so that I don't have to think about it. So what happens is sometimes I'll just push through and sit with my kids and do whatever, even though at that moment I don't want to. And so that when I have my me time, say it's at 8:30 after they're in bed, and sometimes I get irritated if it lasts till 9 because it's like, shit, then I have a small window and then I have to sleep because then I have to wake up early. And so I'm like, that's my me time. And so that's my me time to do what? Mind numbing, as I call it. So it's like TV, and with TV comes food, and yes, I can put that all within my calories, right? But then I think there's something here, and we were talking about like maybe we can find another way of mind numbing.
Yeah.
And I don't even mind labeling it mind numbing. I think sometimes we need that, or at least I do. But it's about, am I doing something, like, I don't know how to explain. Like, is it something that is benefiting me or can be harming me sometimes? Like, sometimes too much of a good thing can also be not so good,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, so this is a territory that I'm in right now.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. And it's and I think this is touching into many different pieces on me being a mother and how I show up as a mother and the role that I have put in my mind and that I've been conditioned on what that role is, but also giving room for me to show up as my own unique style of mothering and allowing that to come through.
Yeah.
And I think allowing that to fully come through is also sitting with that discomfort and sitting with that guilt and like also maybe even grief. There's a bit of grief that I was thinking about last night, grieving that maybe I was not the mother I would have liked to be at different stages of my children's life.
Yeah. You know, for context, when we first met, one of the first things you said is, I would like to be a better mother, right? I would like to be a better mother. If you were still the person that you wouldn't be dealing with this new level, new challenge. I like to say you've unlocked a new level,
Yeah.
right? It would have been like, okay, I'm just focusing on me now. But the reason this is coming up to this extent that now we have to look at other ways to soothe ourselves is because you said, no, the way I want to show up for my kids now is different. I want to be more present. I want to be more, and but we always want to go back to what we're most comfortable with. So that's the fight and the resilience. For context, for anyone that's listening, that's what happened. Because if you were still old version of Dana, it would have been like, no, this doesn't bother me. I'm quite comfortable where I am. But because we evolved, because there's this idea, like we said, once I lose all the weight, once I change, everything is
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Right. But this is such a prime example of it's not. It's actually now challenging me even more because now I am more present. I've created space to be more present. And now there's more because now I want more for myself.
Yeah.
If you and I were having a discussion, you're like, Natasha, I don't want to lose any more weight. I love the way I'm treating my kids and that's it. It would never be so irritable. Right? It's because you want more for yourself. And I think as mothers, as women, sometimes we forget that the reason it's so frustrating is because you want more for yourself.
Yeah.
You see that for yourself, and I see that for you, which is so amazing. When it comes to that family dynamics and food and your relationship with food and what you've seen growing up, having food be such a big part of your life, um, where where does that fit? Where does that role fit for you, your family? What kind of food you bring into the household? What kind of behaviors you do? I know you have a daughter as well.
Right.
What kind of behaviors they pick up? Like how is that dynamic playing as you're healing and recovering as well?
Yeah. It's very interesting, like when I look at my son, he's like his dad. Like food is great, but it's not a thing. It, it's not a thing. Whereas my daughter, I can see has a lot of similar traits to mine.
Mm.
And but I have to say she eats better than I did at that age. So I'm grateful for that. And I try to, like for example, she loves protein. So I try to give different options, but she loves her desserts and she loves it the way I love it and loved it at that age. I can see certain traits. So all I can do now, or that I do, is provide options, so that, okay, if I don't want to do, I'm very conscious of, I don't want to do any deprivation, like, "Oh, okay, we're not going to have this, because I feel that for me will, from my experience, when you do elimination, it goes the other way eventually. It's like I'll give you an example. New Year, we were all together, and Christmas, New Year, it was a lot of chocolate, food, this, that, and for us adults, it was also wine and alcohol and that stuff, right? And in my family, they were like, okay, it's January starts, we're gonna cut this, cut that. And I'm like, no, I don't think I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna go back to, my workouts, back to a certain routine, but I'm not cutting anything out.
Yeah.
And I kind of had to reassure that lower brain, which really has helped me a lot, understanding that it's okay. We're not gonna be doing anything like that. We're gonna be going back to our way. And in that way, everything is included. You know what I mean? It was not, because that to me is not sustainable. And I think, like, my kids also indulged a lot in Christmas and New Year. And it's like, okay, now we go back to New Year, post the New Year. I still give them everything, but it's back to the routine, back to eating the way we eat at home, which is wholesome, real foods. And yes, they're going to have their treats here and there, but but there's no elimination. Because from my personal experience, elimination like leads to binging and overindulgence and this mind that feels like, oh my God, we're deprived. I don't know when that famine is going to happen again. So let me eat everything. That used to be my mind before. that is a big shift that I've seen in myself. Like this new, I didn't even feel like, oh, eat all that chocolate because January and I just said, okay, do I want? Do I crave? Great. Don't? That's it. There's no more that narrative. And so now in my house, remember I was saying about university, if I have like a bag of Oreos in my house, I would not think, oh, I need to have it. It's there. It's there. If I crave it, it's not there. I don't have anymore that thing of I can't be with ice cream in the house. I can't be with that because then I'll eat it. No.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's a
That's
big thing for me.
Yeah, and that's the point that we want to get to. We want to get to a point with trigger foods. Let's call them
Yeah.
trigger foods, right? Where we keep the foods in the house.
Oreo was a big one for me, by
But
the way,
the
and
yeah,
Nutella and all that shit.
so-
I love it, but it's there, it's there, it's not
yeah,
there, it's okay.
and and that just shows transition right there, right? And growth. Yeah, I can keep trigger foods in my house and I don't need to have and finish it all, And so this is where I want to go into that whole health food aspect because there is something, in the health world called orthorexia, where people go the other extreme. They're like, if I mask my house with all these healthy items, healthy Nutella and healthy this and healthy that, all my binge eating, emotional eating, everything is just going to disappear. I'm going to keep all these clean ingredients and all up, right?
Or,
And so, um, what's your take on all of that?
uh, it's funny. I went 2 years with no gluten, no dairy. This was 3 years ago. Let's say 3, 4 years ago. No gluten, no dairy, no refined sugar. Um,
No life, basically.
yeah, basically. So, and no alcohol. And actually, I have to say for the alcohol because alcohol is not a thing for me. It's not a like I'll be fine if it's not there, and I'll be fine if it's there. And so it's not for me. It's not like food.
Yeah,
So, so yeah, so no alcohol. So what would happen is then I would find other ways. So I'd make a lot of healthy treats with dates with this, um, but then I would over on that. Like I would overeat on those things. And then I took a lot of supplements to help with my blood sugar, with this, with that. So then actually wasn't really hungry. But then you're not going to take those supplements forever, are you? So when you stop taking those supplements, then you overeat. And then you're still going to overeat on those things. So I was never going down to the root,
yeah,
which was what was I using food for?
yeah.
So for me, that's what I wanted to go down to because then when I stopped that 2 year thing, I did this course on German New Medicine because I wanted to understand it because I really believe symptoms are a mask of something else. And when I started that program, they said, you're going to eat gluten, you're going to eat dairy. I want you to just live your life as normal because a lot of everything of your symptoms is all based on your nervous system and how you perceive things. And we want to teach you that. And when they told me that, I was like, freedom. So I gained shit tons of weight. But why? It's because my body was like, you're free, you're safe, you're whatever. So, yes, I learned a lot actually from the nervous system perspective and that, but then I gained all this weight. But it's almost like the pendulum needed to swing that way
Yeah.
and then meeting you in order to come back to homeostasis. And I don't think, to be honest, I've ever been in homeostasis until after meeting you and working with you. Never. It's,
Yeah.
it's, and it's like, wow. And if anything, I want to teach my children is that. Um, yes, let's eat cleaner things. Let's eat, of course, but there is something of, I don't want to label things so much as good, bad. You know what I mean? Especially at a young age. Because whether you like it or not, these kids go out to birthday parties.
Mm,
They go and they eat this. And I don't, you know what I mean? I just want to create a system where we have peace with food
absolutely.
and more. I think when you're peace with yourself, and then you go out into the world, you actually naturally make better decisions.
Yeah.
I think it goes back down to that. The more I work on myself, the more we uncover certain aspects of myself through our sessions, the more I realize, oh, actually, it's not even about the food. The food was trying to give me something. What was it trying to give me? Oh, okay, let's try to see other ways that I can take care of myself.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, shit.
Absolutely. I've seen the aftermath. I've seen the aftermath of mothers being, they like to call them almond moms now, right?
Moms,
Yeah,
right?
and so almond moms are, you can't have that. It's too much sugar. You can't have that. It's not lactose free. You can't have this. And I've seen the byproduct of those children going up as young as 16, saying, no, but I can't have that. No, that's going to spike my insulin. And I was like, but you're struggling with food. All that doesn't matter right now. And so I think the approach that you're taking with your daughter while you're healing and growing is so beautiful because you're breaking a cycle. You're breaking a huge cycle as far as what learned behavior has come across for you, restriction has come across for you. It's not getting passed on to the option, the variety. And it's like you said, she will be exposed to this food,
Yeah,
and this is how secretive eating develops. If you tell her, you can't have this, you can't
yeah,
have that, you can't have that. This is the moment when secretive eating develops. So I
yeah,
really, really, I love that approach, honestly, for when it comes to children. You mentioned something about functional doctors and
yeah,
medicine and things of that sort. And I know you've seen some of the best doctors in the world provide you some great advice. But at the same time, with every doctor comes their own set of guidelines, their
yeah,
own set of restrictions, which we then enforce to us, never touching that root cause. How did all of that advices, I'm sure there was great advice along the way that has impacted your health, but how did all of that kind of, let's say, mess up or help the emotional eating?
yeah. The thing is, and I think the advice, like we said, is great. And I understand, there's root cause from a biological standpoint that all has its place. But I think there's such a big piece that's missing, which is the emotional aspect, which is the coping aspect, which is the nervous system aspect of and the beliefs of how I respond to certain things and then how I use things to cope.
Mm,
And I think if you don't address that piece, I don't know, you'll be taking supplements and all that shit forever without like, it will, for at least from, I'll speak from my experience, it never really did anything because I wasn't addressing the root cause, and I don't know, I might get criticized for this, whatever, but like when you think of health coaches, nutritionists, even personal trainers, like I was talking about to my personal trainer about this. I'm like, I think when dealing with emotional eating, you can't deal with it from, okay, let's do this blood test, let's give you these vitamins, and then cut that, and that's it. You're healed. Or personal trainer, okay, do these workouts, eat these many calories, these are your macros, go, God bless. Health coach, okay, eat this, substitute this with this, and that's it. Maybe that will work for people that are not emotional eaters, and awesome, good for you. But when you're an emotional eater, that 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 can that doesn't work. It works up until it doesn't work.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
And that's why I really admire you because I really believe, like we were talking about this before, the best kind of therapists are the therapists that have done their work in the thing that they're treating.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the best kind of therapists for addicts are people who have had addiction
Yes.
and they're helping because they know what it feels like to be in the shitter. They know what it feels like. So it's like when you're asking me all the questions about my emotions and food, you know where to go because you've been there and you work at it day to day. So it's
Yeah.
like your wound is your medicine
Yeah. Absolutely.
that you work with, not that you sit and suppress and then you keep on the side and then you're sitting there. No, you work with it all the time. You always post about it too.
Yeah.
So you can see me. You can really see me because you see that within yourself. So and I think with emotional eating, I think it's a very different bag. It's not just eat healthy, bad, this. It's a very different bag,
Yeah.
basically.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, when I work with individuals, it's that lower brain,
Yeah,
right? And it's about understanding how she responds. So if I look at our interactions, it's big. A lot of our calls are observation.
yeah,
How is she feeling about what I just told her? How is her lower brain handling a little bit of restriction? How is her lower brain handling saying just have an egg white omelet? How is that? And if I remember one of the instances that really, really helped me understand your lower brain was when I believe you were having people over and you were making a cheese board and things of that sort. And I said, how are you going to navigate that? And you were like, I'm just going to have the cheese. And I said, bring in some cold cuts for you and your lower brain, I could see it in your face, you know? It was you're nodding, you're looking at me right in my eye and you're nodding, but I could and I was like, "Do you not like the idea of cold cuts?" You're like, "No, I'll get it. I'll get it." And I said, "I don't think you like the idea of cold cuts." You're like, "Yeah, actually I don't. I want to eat the cheese," you know? And it that's where it helps me.
Yeah.
It helps me realize that I'm pushing something. I'm placing a restriction. I'm placing a restriction on this individual. So I completely understand what you're saying, and it's because it's moments like that that can get missed. You know, as someone that's coaching someone, if I were to disconnect the phone call with you saying, "Yeah, I told her to eat her cold cuts, she'll do it." Right? But if I didn't catch that small nuance, it's something that you did with your mouth, you know, that was just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, she did not like that." So it was really, really helpful. The other aspect of this, Dana, that I want to bring into play here, I mean, yeah, we've done amazing work together. You've been, and I've said this along the way, you've been so great at taking the information, absorbing it. But I there is a lot of healing that you have done on the sidelines that I believe is so crucial to this process, right? We're truly uncovering a different version of us. And while there is a restriction aspect involved as far as portion control and tracking your calories, there is a movement aspect involved, there is a protein aspect. There is also why did we become the emotional eater in the first place? Right? Why did we need food to cope in the first place? And I really want to tap into that with you just because you are so big in the healing space. You have done that work. So I want to know along our journey together while we were there having our sessions, what kind of work did you do on the side? What are the things that you uncovered about yourself along the way?
Because again, like what you were saying, your wound becomes your medicine and you do that work, like how you picked up on my face,
Yeah.
and then you're like, okay, let's work with that. Let's work with the part of you that's not liking that and let's meet let's try to make it work,
Yeah.
you know? Whereas if I've been to a trainer, they'd be like, no, this is this and go. Whereas you hold me accountable, but you also hold me. And I think as an emotional eater, we carry a lot of our own shame and and uh, and what I love about the way you work is I'm gonna help you, but I'm also gonna hold you, but I'm also gonna hold you accountable. Like you do it all. And through that, you help us see that we are the medicine. And I think those are the best kind of healers, therapists, whatever, when they show you your own power. So to help yourself. Um, So, for example, like when I've done certain healing work, right? And then I would tell you sometimes, I'm like, oh my God, Natasha, because the beauty of this work is it's helped me see my own power, which has helped me in my work. And so sometimes I would tell you, Natasha, I'm actually really tired. Like I'm feeling all these feelings. You're like, okay, you're going through a lot right now. Let's do some focus on maintenance and taking care of you. We could still keep. Whereas if I told a trainer that, or what, he'd be like, what do you mean? Like, no, we go back to restriction. And you're very good at knowing where that person is at because you do your own work. So you adapt to that. I think the lower brain, you look at, okay, how can we make this work? Because this is about long term, not about a quick fix. It's about changing belief systems, patterns, even probably for me, it's generational patterns. This shit takes time. It's not just a quick fix buy. And what do you gain? You gain a whole shift in how you show up in the world. It's so much bigger than weight loss. But yeah, so what helped me a lot in this work that I did alongside is obviously my own healing, but also a lot of shadow work,
Yeah.
inner child work, because there was different children within me that were asking for certain things and that weren't addressed or were neglected. So giving her a seat at the table, giving her attention,
Yeah.
tending to her. And I wasn't before, and I was using food.
Yeah. And when you were attending to her, what was coming up?
Anxiety, overwhelm. But then as I sat with it, because it's forced me to do a lot of somatic work with that. So to sit with those feelings and sit, and it's actually at the back end of it, wisdom. So, like I didn't realize I was a disassociator in certain things. Like I don't want to feel certain discomforts, but it's helped me move. I could give you example, gym. I'm like, oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. but I keep showing up. I keep showing up. I keep showing up. And then I'm like, oh, I actually feel good. Actually, this feels good. And now I recall, I'm like, oh, see how good that felt? Oh, wow, see how good that felt? So I can go now to the gym and I know I'm like, oh, I don't want to come here. I'd rather do this. I want to do this. I need to finish this. I'm like, it's okay. We'll get to it. And I still am irritable. But 20 minutes later, I feel like, oh, actually, I'm so glad. Now I have clarity. I'm actually going to do this and I'm going to respond this way. Very differently to how I would have responded before the gym, for example. And I've found like I've committed to myself and I've found, wow, there's certain body work things that help me process things,
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know?
I mean, and it's so needed, right? If we look back at life previously, so when we first met, there was I'm not quite sure about movement at the
Yeah.
moment. And this is where I want to get into the maintenance aspect of things. Because if we go back to what we used to do, or if we go back to our old habits, we're going to start looking like we used to. Because there is that weight loss byproduct moment here. It's about showing up for ourselves mentally, but even physically, right? The primary goal was I'd like to lose some weight, And so when we look at maintenance, because we're going into weight loss again for you now, but we did have a good period of maintenance. You not gain
Yeah.
the weight back. What helps Dana maintain that for now and for the years to come? What are some of the key tools that help you maintain on a day-to-day basis?
For me, movement. Like whether it's, I need to be out in nature, whether it's in the beach, whether it's in the park, walking, like walking. I can see it even with my kids. Like when I'm with my kids, and sometimes I just feel that overwhelmed that I was telling you, where I was like, I should be doing this. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, that means I need to get myself out of here, even if it's for 20 minutes. And my body's saying, no, 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 just stay, stay. It's that freeze response, right? That I've been trained and that's what I'm familiar with. And I kind of override that. And I'm like, no, let's walk. And I know I'll feel better. And I go, I walk, I get fresh air. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. 30 minutes later, I'm like, oh, I have perspective now. Oh, okay. I don't actually want that curly whirly or that piece of bread or any kind of food sometimes. I'm actually okay. And I come back and I can sit with my kids. I can sit like everything becomes clearer. So giving like knowing that feeling,
Hmm.
when that feeling comes up and being like, okay, what can I do right now? What's available to me right now that will help me? And there will be another child within me saying, no, 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 no. And I'm like, it's okay. You think that this was good, but actually there's something else that can help me, So it's having that dialogue and then overriding it, seeing the effect and then recalling. It's very important for me to do the recalling of being like, see how that worked? See how good that felt? So recalling that part in the body that, hey, we got this.
Yeah.
We can find another way to soothe,
Yeah.
to kind of gain clarity. So that's really important for me. The gym is very important for me. Um, a lot of the different body work stuff that I do that help me get aligned and integrated. Um, Sleep is really important for me. Alone time is very important for me. And another thing that I realize is connection, but a certain kind of connection. Where I feel that I'm seen and heard, where it's a feeling I can't even describe it in words, but connection is really important to me.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. I want to get a little bit into the physical aspects of things. And because my primary focus is physical is last, but I want to know how you feel, how you felt once the weight loss happened, and in relation to confidence and how you show up.
You know what's funny? And I'm still working this one, because it's really funny. So I love loose clothing, like really loose. And after having kids or whatever, I just bought tons of loose shit. And that's what I'm comfortable in. But it's so much so that, like, say before, I used to wear like fitted clothing sometimes and mix. Now, you know, dressing up, for example, it takes a bit of time to get, it's almost like I don't know my body a little bit.
Mm.
So a lot of times when we go to the beach to swim and I'm with my friends and they're like, oh my God, you lost so much weight. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm the same person you saw a week ago. They're like, why do you wear all these bags then? Like and I'm like, I don't know. And even sometimes when I have to order clothes, I'm like, oh, am I large? Am I extra large? My husband's like, I don't know why you like buying. I'm like, I don't know. It's really, so it's I'm still struggling to see myself as, you know, lighter in clothes. But and again, I think I got very comfortable in the loose stuff. Uh but then I'm like, oh, I let's get something fitted. Ooh, that looks nice. But I feel like my mind is still integrating.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So from that aspect, but it does feel good. Like I feel like, even though, for example, we said we want to, like, I want to lose more weight, but and I do want to, but I'm also really happy now. And I'm also really looking forward to the journey.
Yeah.
I'm not like, oh, I'm not happy now. I need, like I'm very happy where I am now.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. I remember when I was coming on your podcast
yeah.
and I hadn't seen you in person for quite some time, and you showed up with these like skinny jeans
Yeah.
and I couldn't recognize you. I like did a double take and I was like, holy shit, like what was that? But yeah, I get the whole loose clothing is just comfortable. It's just so airy and it's just comfortable. But I'm so happy. Like when I seen you and I was like, Dana, like these jeans look amazing on you. But it's the confidence level and you're like, yeah, I know. It's just I felt like wearing them, which is so good. Do you find that confidence when it comes to the playtime with your kids? Has that like there's the strength, the energy from your movement? Does that have an impact as well?
Yeah. And we were saying now about connection. Like one of the things I has helped me is how much I love connection with my kids. It's not the duration, the quantity. It's about the quality of the connection. It's about the time that I was like, okay, I'm in this space and I'm gonna be present. And it's about the quality of that presence. Um, that I started valuing more than the quantity.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, even like with gym clothes, it's like, oh yeah, hey, ho, like, I don't need to, now I don't need to cover it with 100 things. And, I just feel more comfortable. Like, this is who I am.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. I mean, it's I just want to, for women listening, seeing how many areas you've evolved in.
yeah.
There's relationship with your family, relationship with your kids, relationship with food, relationship with yourself, growth in the work that you do. I mean, when we started, you weren't a full-fledged business mode as yet as you are now,
Yeah.
right? Um, Please, I wanna people to understand one, what you do and how that kind of navigated with us because I see this so many times with women. They're a very different stage in their life when we start. And then as the weight's dropping off, as their relationship with food is changing, they're no longer needing that suppression. They're like, my God, I can do better. I can be better.
Mm,
I can really show up for myself in this area. And how did that transition? And please also tell everyone what you do and how you
yeah.
help women and men.
Yeah. So I want to add to that. Another thing is pleasure. Like I feel more in contact with my own sense of pleasure. What gives me pleasure, you know? And I don't think I was really fully in tune with that. Like now I feel like I'm very in tune with my body and what my body needs and what my body feels and that I wasn't before. And I think I attribute that to the work that we did. And I think this is, to me, if I were to think of that is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Being so tuned in on what my body is feeling and needing. And so yeah, and what I do, so I'm a life coach and I don't even want to call it like I'm more of an intuitive coach.
Yeah.
And just really helping people work with their patterns, right? Like, they come in with an issue, they come in with something, but it's about what is this issue? Where is this coming from? It's not just here just because it is. It's about understanding what is at the back end of this. What is this issue showing you about you? What is it trying to show you? What are the belief systems? We get into the feelings. What is the belief system associated with this? Because again, it's all trying to show us something.
Yeah.
So I work mainly with women,
Yeah.
not because, but I think there's something in that relatability. And then I co-host women's circles, the last Saturdays of every month at the Free Spirit Collective.
Which I have joined as
Yes.
well.
And again, it's that circle of, we bring in a topic and again, I'm very relatable. I'm very about there's something I'm working with, I'm exploring, and I bring that in circle and I share it. There's something about women showing up as authentic as who they are with what they know, but also what they're working with. And I think being in that space of authenticity and not like open hearted in circle, it's so therapeutic for other women.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
and I think this is something that also helps in the journey is meaningful connection.
Yeah.
Do I have other women or other people in my life where I can really show up as my authentic self? And that authentic self can be wise, but it can also be messy. Can I be my full self with you and be messy, and you still see me for not just the messiness, but for all of me? And I think having that, yes, in sessions with your coaches and healers and whatever, that's fine, but also in our friendships, we need that. And so this is what and prior together, we do this, is cultivate that in our women's circle.
Yeah.
It's just co-hosting this women's circle for almost a year now. It's helped me a lot with my relationship with myself and my relationship with other women.
Yeah.
And understanding myself and being able to see other women in different lights. Um, yeah, and I think it's interesting because me going through this journey is also, again, helping other women also on their journey. In on It's like this whole, I think if I were to articulate my what I do in a sentence, is helping women unbecome to become. It's like take all the layers of what was expected, or what is conditioning, of what this collective consciousness, and really identify the essence.
Yeah.
And what is this essence? And what is this essence calling for and asking for?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I can vouch for it. I will be open and transparent. I've worked with Dana personally, or she was my client, and then I became her client, and I can vouch for it. I mean, there's areas that, there's something that you said in the beginning of when we started working together that has really helped me be the best version of myself for my clients. Is the deeper I go, the deeper I can go, right? For my clients, and so. Um, I can vouch for your work and the things that we've been through. And I've seen the transition. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, like I see her being the best version of herself. And I was like that small 1% part of her life that helped her really be
bigger
that
than 1%.
let be that change. But that's amazing. And I like to do a parting message that, yeah, whoever is here to leave for the woman watching, the young girls watching, the men watching, anyone struggling with food, struggling in silence, struggling with their bodies, a message that you can leave them that they can resonate with or find some solace or hope in.
You're not alone,
I love that.
especially with this emotional eating thing. You are really not alone. Find your community, find people like you, not you, um, that has been through it, that's helping people through it. It's honestly the best investment you can make on or for yourself. Because really, really, you're not alone. And being mindful of the stuff you're seeing on social media and whatever that are claiming this and that has nothing to do with you and your worth. You are inherently worthy. It's just about finding what, like, I feel this emotional eating is just, like a wound, let's say, that's showing us parts of ourselves that we're neglecting. So it's actually there to show us something.
Yeah.
So use it and explore it with the right kind of person to really understand, wow, what am I not wanting to feel? What am I not wanting to step into? And the minute you start showing up for yourself, you will be surprised what the self is going to give you. Because the most important relationship is the relationship you have with yourself. And that's the one that we need to invest in. Because only if we do that can we show up better for our husbands, for our wives, for our parents, for our children. And then we are that example, right?
Yeah.
This whole sacrificial shit is not the example I want to at least give to my children or to my husband. Or it's about me showing up for myself, me filling my cup, me addressing my needs, and then from there I give.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us and
For
sharing.
having me.
My pleasure. And thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for joining us at Breaking the Cycle. If today's conversation resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, or share this episode with someone who really needs it. Remember, breaking free isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Keep showing up, keep doing the work, and trust that transformation is possible.